good morning. So happy to have you here with us. Come on in. I see you streaming in. I love that. And come on in and go ahead and start chatting too. I love it when you chat. Make sure when you're chatting to send it out to all attendees, because then it'll go out to everybody, and instead of just us. So this is so cool. It's going to be an absolutely wonderful, so happy to have you all here. Oh, so let's get ready for our time together and start breathing together. Oh, hi, everybody. Somebody from Phoenix, hi. Somebody from Virginia, from Texas. I love that. Let us know where you are. Oh, Michigan. That's where Richard was born. All right. Canada, Miami. All right. I love that. Hi, everybody. Oh, somebody from New Jersey, Rhode Island, another New Jersey. Oh, there's Gail. Hi. And from New York. I love this, you guys. Oh, and Atlanta, California, all over the place. I love that. Ooh, Huntington Beach. Beautiful. Was somebody from Wisconsin. Ranjita's from Wisconsin. So we have another Wisconsin person on. LA, nice. So hi, everybody. I'm Deborah Stengel, founder of Sedona Soul Adventures. And I have to tell you, I am just so excited and honored today for our masterclass. What can I say? Inaka Ranjita Ryan, she has had such an impact on so many people's lives, including my own. So I just want to tell you, so you know, and I know some of you have heard this story or if you've read my book, but when I came to Sedona for the first time 21 years ago, I came here for what I thought was going to be just 3 days of being quiet. And instead, through a very strange set of circumstances, I ended up staying with Ranjita at her beautiful, beautiful retreat sanctuary in Oak Creek Canyon, Your Heart's Home. And I have to tell you, I wasn't intending to do anything, not intending to do any sessions or anything like that. Every part of my life was a mess. I had just started my 20th year as a divorce attorney and I hated it. I was in an unhappy marriage. I weighed 40 pounds more than I weigh now. I was $50,000 in debt. So from a logical standpoint, the last thing I should have been doing was spending money going on a trip. And for the 5 years leading up to that, I would pray and meditate and I would say, please God, tell me what to do. I'm so unhappy. And I would hear this little voice that would say, you need to leave your law practice. And I would immediately go, well, I can't do that. How can I possibly do that? I'm $50,000 in debt. How can I possibly leave my law practice? So I was at such a level of burnout that I finally came to Sedona for 3 days. As I said, I was only intending to have this be 3 days of just resting. And I met Ranjita. I came to her beautiful retreat sanctuary and I decided to do a session with her. And oh my goddess, that was one of the most incredible experiences of my entire life. In our session, the Egyptian goddess Isis came in, the one with the wings, and she unfolded her wings around me and she said, everything's going to be okay, but you either leave your law practice now or you're going to die like your mother did. And I have to tell you that I was exactly the age my mother was when she got sick and died of cancer 5 years later. And I know that I was on the path for the same thing. I was in the same energy of my mother, the energy of unhappy and feeling hopeless. But in this session with Ranjita, I got it. I knew this is what I have to do. I went home. I spent the next 2 weeks trying to figure out with my lawyer brain how I was possibly going to leave my law practice when I was $50,000 in debt. And then this moment happened of just surrender and release. I just gave it all up to God. And I said, I'm going to do this, but I've got to have some help. And within a few hours, I got a phone call and $50,000 fell out of the sky. I spent 6 months closing my law practice. I spent the next 3 years coming out to Sedona for like a month at a time, always staying with Ranjita at Your Heart's Home, with us becoming the dearest of friends and sisters. Then I moved to Sedona and then started Sedona Soul Adventures in 2002, 18 years ago. And Ranjita has been one of our most important practitioners since the very beginning. And I know there are a whole lot of you on the call who have worked with her. She is a teacher, an elder, a conscientious steward of the earth. She told me this week that I used the words amazing and incredible too much, and that I was not supposed to use those words with her about her. So, okay, how I won't use those words, although normally I would, of course. And she's right, I do overuse them too much. That's for sure. But so how about fabulous, otherworldly, transformational, empowering, compassionate? She is the real deal, and such a blend of working in the highest realms, but also so grounded and so practical. She developed the beautiful process of coming home, igniting your power, Trinity, for helping bring people to heaven on Mother Earth. And I just have to say, if and when you come to Sedona for a Sedona Soul Adventures, I so recommend that you stay with her at Your Heart's Home. It is such a gorgeous place. It also adds such a beautiful level to your soul adventure. And today she's going to talk about one of the things that I think is so basic, so important, so foundational, how to fall in love with yourself. So please enjoy my dear friend and sister, Inika Ranjita Ryan.
Deborah.
So I did it. I didn't say amazing.
You're adorable.
I'm gonna get you on camera. Something's going on that I'm not getting you on camera. But go ahead, start talking.
Okay. Deborah, I want to just make a tribute to you before we go any further, because my friendship with you over these 20 years and how we have literally enhanced each other's journey into this foundation of self-love and self-appreciation and self-respect, and witnessing you go from being, this self-hating woman to an amazing, brilliant,
self-hating, fat, broke,
okay,
unhappy.
And anyway, you were always gorgeous on the inside and on the outside. And witnessing how your self-love then transferred to creating this gift to the world, where you have literally created a platform for thousands of people to come and transform their life, and to be able to really, really take on the gift of a spiritual lifetime soul adventure. So Deborah, your self-love is what has been the gift that keeps on giving. And it has just been such an honor and a privilege to witness your journey. And I'm so happy that my journey started a few steps earlier, which I'm going to share in just a moment. And so to be able to hold each other's hands, sometimes catch each other when we were falling, sometimes, propping each other up when we were at our lowest, has just been such a beautiful sisterhood and friendship. And I just thank you for finding Your Heart's Home and me, and then letting this inspire your life to help others get inspired.
Well, thank you, sweetie. And just right back at you, because if it had not been for you, I don't think that Well, as I say to everybody, all of this has come from that one session that I did with you. And and your friendship and help and mentoring and my gosh, the number of sessions I've done with you over the years, I can't even count the number. And so anyway, so let's stop this mutual
I know.
love.
Mutual love affair.
But I love you. I thank you, because I know that I would not be where I am today, particularly the happiness level. And oh, I'm okay. Now I'm going to cry, so I'll stop.
I know. I'm going to cry too. I brought some Kleenex.
All right. So I love you. You love me. Let's talk. Let's get everybody else going.
And let's talk about what love really is, and how we couldn't possibly love each other unless we knew how to love ourselves.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. So something's shaking, honey. Do you have bracelets on or something like that?
No.
Okay, when you shake your head, is it your necklace or something? Okay, something's kind of shaking. It might be that. It might be the necklace. Okay, all right, but it looks great.
Oh, well, that's more important.
Okay. All right, well, sweetie, I'm handing it off to you. Okay. I love you. I know this is going to be a fabulous masterclass.
Well, we're going to have fun. And mostly my key word for how we are on a spiritual path together is simple, easy, light, and fun. That is how we'll get things done. And I want to thank each and every one of you. And I've seen names of people that I've worked with, and it's made me cry, and people that have come and stayed here. Thank you for loving yourself so much that you would give yourself this gift of coming on this Zoom call for this next hour. And I am so excited and passionate to tell you about my journey into self-love and how I could inspire your journey to love yourself even more, and why that's the most basic, important, foundational, fundamental principle of being on a spiritual path. But it didn't start, with anything but a very, very, very humble beginning. So I'd like to just share a little bit about my journey with you, and then I want to really introduce you to 3 gifts that Spirit gave me, very, very specific gifts that were each one guided me a little closer to what love actually is and how to embrace that as who we each are. So then we'll talk. So how this is going to look today is that I'm going to just share a little bit about my story and those gifts that Spirit gave. And then I'm going to share with you the benefits that can come into your life through loving yourself. And each one of those little gifts that Spirit gave me are gifts that Spirit wants you to take on for your own life. So that's the how to. And then I'm going to share the why to. Why is this the best idea and the best gift that you could ever give yourself, is know that you are love itself. And then we're going to do a little exercise. And it was an exercise that Spirit gave me. When I talk about Spirit, that's the indwelling soul essence of who we each are. So if I use the word God or almighty oneness or, creator, infinite force, whatever, it's all the same. And we are all part of that amazing, amazing love. So then we're going to do this exercise that Spirit gave me. And I thought it was kind of simple, and like usually Spirit, does, gives you the simple, easy, light, and fun stuff. And then that will just really give you an opportunity to melt into the oneness, because oftentimes we are separate. We've got these parts of us that don't love ourselves, and then we have this urge to love ourselves. And how do we merge into this oneness that love is? And then I'm going to wrap it up with a prayer that Don Miguel Ruiz wrote, but I took the liberty to rewrite it a little bit, just to give it a little bit more of a current moment instead of a future moment gift to you. So that's what our hour is going to be like today. And again, thank you for loving yourself so much. This is really, really touching for me. And I'm kind of a little choked up with gratitude. And again, thank you, Deborah, for allowing me to share my most passionate subject with all our beloveds here. So I began my spiritual journey on my hands and knees in a moment of complete, utter surrender. I had developed an eating disorder and I was a compulsive overeater from the time I was 13. But by the time I was 16, I thought I invented bulimia. And by the time I was 19, my life was totally out of control. And I was a very sick woman going down a very dark hole. And I found myself at one of the very first Overeaters Anonymous meetings, then when they, were using the 12 steps to work with other addictions besides just alcohol. And I looked over the 12 steps and I quickly realized, oh, this is going to take some kind of a spiritual surrender to a power greater than myself, which, being raised in a Catholic religion and a very Christian home, I had learned, that the God that I was being taught was not the God that I really was wanting to believe, that there was a God out there, that, we were sinners and we were cast out of the kingdom or queendom, and that we had to earn our way back to God's love or to God's favor or to good merit, but to get back into the kingdom of heaven. So, but I didn't really know, who or what this higher power was. But I left the meeting that day and I went to the shores of Lake Michigan and I put myself into this prayer of like, God, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are, really what you are, but I need help. I need help. And all of a sudden, I had this life-changing event. From the bottom of my feet, a shaking started, just a rattling that started going from my toes all the way up through my legs, through my whole body. I started shaking so much that when it got to my belly, all of a sudden, a flood of emotions, like a tsunami of emotions, started pouring out of me. Every feeling you could have ever imagined having was just pouring out of me like a storm of emotions. Everything I had stuffed down with all that food was coming up like a volcano. And I couldn't even stand up anymore. The shaking and the emotions just put me to my knees and my head just hit the sand. And in this moment of like a deep prostration, after all that emotion had cleared out of me, it was quiet. And then the voice of my soul started speaking to me loud and clear. Like it was undeniable that there was a voice inside of me that was wise, that was knowing, that was loving, that was responding to my need. And it started telling me that I was going to change everything. I was going to quit my jobs. I was going to quit school. I was going to say goodbye to everyone I knew that was familiar to me. I was going to even break up with my boyfriend at the time. And I was going to take an epic adventure. And I was going to be led and guided every step of the way. So I left the beach that day. I went home to my apartment and I told my sister Christine, who I was sharing an apartment with, I said, you're never going to believe it, but I think I'm healed from my compulsive overeating. I think God healed me. And that wasn't true. That was just the beginning. But I said, I'm going to be leaving. I think I'm going to buy a van and I'm going to travel and I'm going to take an epic adventure. I'm going to be led and guided every step of the way. That's what Spirit said. And my sister looked at me like totally confidently. And if you know my sister, you know she's got this. She says, well, you're not going without me. And within 30 days, we quit everything, did everything, packed up our apartment, bought our Van Morrison, and we were led and guided every step of the way on this epic adventure that changed my life. And so that was the beginning of my spiritual journey on my hands and knees. It wasn't because I was doing anything courageous or victorious or, I was in a deep surrender. But that voice of my soul was the voice that I'm going to share some more gifts from you from. So anyway, Van Morrison and Christine and we found Sedona, and that was 45 years ago. So I was so lucky to find this beautiful, beautiful place called Sedona, Arizona. And Sedona was a big, huge part of my personal healing and my journey into love and spirit. They're not separate. So the next little story that I want to tell you about, which is what really started the self-love thing, was another very humble, embarrassing story. But the compulsion didn't leave after the awakening. I was still grappling and struggling with that for a while, for many years actually. But one night I was at a party and I had binged at the party, and I went out and I was puking in the night in someone's yard. Isn't that? And I was praying at the same time. I'm like, God, I love you so much. I don't know why I'm doing this. I love you so much. And the voice of my soul said, well, do you love yourself? I said, no, how could I possibly love myself? Look at what I'm doing. This is disgusting. This is terrible. Well, then, if you don't love yourself, there's no way you could possibly love me, love thee. And I was like, oh, you mean in order to have a real spiritual connection, in order to really love a God force or a universal divine force, you have to love yourself. I thought that would be impossible. I was very overweight. I was completely, still struggling. And I wasn't in any way the picture of the perfect person that I thought could deserve self-love. But I realized that I had to make a choice. And that day, I decided that I was going to learn how to love myself as I was, unconditionally. That means, with all my flaws and all my shortcomings and all my struggles. But I was going to learn how to love myself the way I always dreamed that I could be loved by some God force or some person. Because I was always looking for love in others. I was always looking for love in earnership, like I had to do something to earn love or be something for someone to earn love. Not that I was love. So the great relief started, where I just started looking at myself as an aspect of love. And that took me to my next story, because interestingly enough, all the weight started melting away. And then the eating disorder started clearing, because I started realizing what was actually running the addiction, which was what I call the bandits. And the bandits are 3 very toxic. It's a feeding frenzy that uses your energy, and it actually uses behaviors to feed them. And the 3 bandits are self-judgment that feeds guilt, and guilt that feeds shame. And I was running this toxic energy under the surface of that behavior of the compulsive overeating and the binging. And so when I realized that, and all those 3 energies are definitely not loving, they're the antithesis of love. So I evicted the bandits, and then I would sit and if I get a compulsion, I would actually sit down and I would go through the whole journey of what I would do in my mind's eye. I would see myself going and buying the food and blah, 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 and doing all the eating and going numb and blanked out and, throwing up. And then I said, does that feel like love to you? And of course, 100% of the time, it was like, no, that feels really abusive and really unloving. And, you know, so then I, I just started, the whole cycle started stopping because I went to the love. And then I asked myself, well, what really feels like love to you? And it was always something kind to myself, you know, like going for a walk or going to the creek or being with my doggies or calling my friends or, you know, being in a joy space. So then one day I'm on a walk with my dogs, and all of a sudden my wise voice within, that soul voice, said, do you know who you are? And at this time in my life, I was like working with the Advaita tradition, I am that, I'm, everything and nothing and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I think so. I think I know who I am. I said, kind of a little bit confused about why the voice was asking. And Spirit said, no, I'm going to tell you who you are. You are God's love, made manifest perfectly as you, right here, right now. Wow, that was a new definition for myself that I had never heard. And then Spirit's like, and by the way, so is everybody else. So is everyone, that perfect love made manifest. So I thought, wow, if that's my identity and everyone else's identity, I cannot help but see the divine. Every time I look in the mirror, every time I look into someone's eyes, there's the divine made manifest perfectly right there as themselves. And by the way, in our work, that we do with Sedona Soul Adventures, or, with all my clients and everything, Spirit was very graceful in the beginning of my journey into helping others to say, and by the way, you do not have the luxury of one judgmental thought. If you judge another, you have dropped the curtain of connection. That made a big difference, in my work. So no matter what I hear, and believe me, I feel like I'm a human library because I hear everything. I hear the tragedies of people who, don't know how to love themselves. And that's also one of the coolest things, is that that's one of the presenting issues that we get over and over with people, is they want to learn how to love themselves. They want to learn how to really embrace who they are as a spirit being. So I get to passionately, boost their self-love quotient. So that's my second story about the definition of who we all are. You are God's love made manifest perfectly as you, right here, right now. Just breathe that in. And now we have a third story. And this was inspired by listening to Eckhart Tolle's first book on tape called The Power of Now. Tape, that dates me, right? And he was talking on and on and on about the pain body. And he was, I had bells and whistles going off, because pain body, yeah, that's what we are all under, some pretty severe control of. And so I kept listening for the exact definition of the pain body, because I love to give simple, easy, light, and fun definitions of how we can get things done. And I wanted to help people be able to be free of their pain body. So I woke up in the middle of the night, because Eckhart Tolle never really got to this clear definition. Here's what the pain body is. Here's how to get free of it. And so I asked Spirit, can you please give me the exact definition for the pain body? One that I could easily understand. I could explain it to others so they could get it. And if there's a pain body, is there a joy body? And how would one stay in the joy body all the time? And so Spirit said, this was a great discourse. Spirit said, the pain body is not who you are. It is an energetic entity that feeds off of your life force energy. It's like a parasite that like feeds off of, it needs our life force for its survival. So the only way, Spirit said, that the pain body can get into our life force energy is wherever we're vibrating in fear. So fear is a very low grade frequency. Love is a very high grade frequency. And if you're vibrating in the frequency of fear, you're like an attractive energy for the pain body. And once the pain body kind of is into our life force energy, then it works in collusion with those frickin' twerps that are in our head. You know, those twerps that don't shut up, those ones, those voices that are telling us what we should do, could have done, why did they do this, why didn't they do that? Those twerps, and I call them twerps because you don't want to give them any power whatsoever. They're not based in self-love. They're based in criticism and fear, and they're basically a compilation of our shadow programming. Sometimes it's still the voice of our mother speaking to us, or our father, you know, who may be already on the other side, or, you know, we're adults, you know, or the voice of our former beloveds or our bosses, or the, you know, the people who educated us, and or maybe the religion, you know, that we got indoctrinated into. So those voices are not our inner voice, and don't listen to a word they say, by the way. So they work in collusion with the pain body. And so that keeps us in this racket, you know, with pain body activity. And by the way, don't tell anybody I'm telling you this, but, you know, the powers that be know that the way that they can control the masses is just keep them in fear, right? So we get inundated by fear food, by our media. It's just a feeding frenzy, you know, fear, fear, fear. So then I asked, well, is there a joy body? And how could you stay in the joy body? Spirit said, of course, the joy body is who you are. And the joy body lives right at the core of your being. Like all your chakras, everything is lined up in this core joy. And I said, oh, well, great. How do you stay in the joy body? Spirit said, well, that's easy. There's a 3-word mantra. And this 3 words, well, number 1, if you use these 3 words as your constant prayer, these 3 words will keep all pain body activity away. These 3 words will vibrate your joy body at the frequency of love, which is your natural state, by the way. And these 3 words are the most powerful prayer of worship that you could ever say to the divine. And I said, okay, what's the mantra? And Spirit said, your new mantra is, say it out loud to yourself right now. I love me. I love me. I love me. To have Spirit tell me that that was my mantra, I was shocked, because those were 3 words that I had never dared to say. No, because I love me. I mean, let's look at all the, you know, the adversity that, you know, that we've been taught about. Well, if you love yourself, then you're conceited, or you're arrogant, or you're selfish, by the way. And now they throw the word around narcissism like it's, you know, just some kind of a, you know, diagnosis everybody's put on everybody else for, you know, self-love. But I love me is none of those things. I love me is a vibration. It's a vibration that raises your frequency up to a tone, to an actual frequency that all of nature vibrates at. Like nature vibrates at this frequency of love. That's why we feel so comfortable in nature. Oh, and by the way, welcome to my tree fort. I live in nature. I'm a total nature girl. Nature's my healer. Nature's my friend. But also, Jesus taught the frequency of the Christ consciousness, which was the consciousness of unconditional love. Our current consciousness teachers call it the unified field. And the I love me frequency is the frequency that is heaven on Mother Earth. It puts you into a heavenly state of connection and attunement and at one-ment to who you truly are as love itself. I love me. The 3 words we were taught never to say, especially out loud. So it's one of my favorite mantras. I use it all the time. I mean, to this day, it changes things for me. The minute, those twerps start going off, or I start having a negative thought, or if I put myself down, I just go right into the I love me. And it just deletes, cancels, and puts me back into that frequency of connection with the divine source that is within us. So those are my 3 gifts from Spirit. If I couldn't love myself, there's no way to have a divine connection. I am God's love made manifest perfectly as I am right here, right now. And the I love me, the I love me mantra, which puts you in to that harmonized frequency of heaven on Mother Earth. So those are the how-tos brought to you by Spirit. But I'm really about the why-tos. Why is this a great idea? What could self-love do for you as a way of being? So I just wrote a few things down, but I want you to think about what it could give your life. Let me just, sorry to be distracted here for a second. Emotional, mental, physical. Where's my physical? Okay, well, I wrote down what it could help you do on the physical level, the mental level, the emotional level, and the spiritual level. But I can't find my physical. Okay, here we go. And these are just ones that I just quickly wrote down, just as a, because I wanted to give you an opportunity to know what kind of benefits come from self-love. So on the physical level, self-love aids relaxation. You just feel more relaxed, more peaceful. It stimulates your immune system. And what a great idea right now, right? It balances your hormones and your brain chemistries. I know people who have been able to get off of anti-anxiety meds and antidepressants, and I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying that, just through self-love have been able to really be able to get things back into balance in the chemistry of the brain. It gives you more energy, because when you're in love, you're not opposing, resisting the other forces. It allows you to feel totally present, which is the foundation of life. Wherever you are and whomever you're with, you can feel present and relaxed. You're comfortable in your own skin. It also allows you to sleep like a baby. Yeah. I'm gonna share like if I wake up in the middle of the night and those twerps are going off, I use this little imaginary drain valve, and we're going to actually use it for the practice exercise. I call it the brain drain valve. I open my drain valve, I drop right into the heart center with my attention, and I start going, I love me. I love me. And after a few I love me's, I'm right back to sleep again. So it heals addictions, like I was sharing, and it stops yourself from self-destructive behavior. So those are what I just wrote in the physical. And why don't you think of a few things too for yourself about what self-love could do for your physical body. Plus it makes you love your physical body because you are love itself. So you can't like judge yourself. Well, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm too wrinkled. I even love my wrinkles. Okay. So on the mental level, You can feel peaceful. You're way less self-conscious. You're not looking for someone outside of yourself to satisfy your hunger for love. Isn't that cool? Like, we don't have to expect someone else to be our source of love and make us feel lovable. That doesn't work very well. Believe me. We see lots of couples that are trying to do that, and it's got to come from here. I always tell my couples that I work with, by the way, I love working with couples, but is first, before you say, I love you, because then if you say, I love you, you're kind of listening. So do you love me? You want to get that validation back. But if you say, I love me, therefore I can love you. It works so much. It works so much better because you're actually generating that love from where the source of that love. And then it's easy to love. You can't really help but love because love loves. That's what love does. It loves. But you have to be at source. Okay. Love quiets your mind and it shuts those little freaking twerps up. And those little twerps are always fear-based and critical. So please don't listen to a word they said, like I said before. And you trust yourself. When you love yourself, you trust yourself. You know that you are going to naturally do what feels kind to yourself and to others. Okay, so those are the ones that I put down for our mental body. It's like, oh, yeah, I can feel at ease, at peace. For your emotional body, you feel a natural, effortless joy. Yeah, a causeless joy, like all the time. Like, I mean, like sometimes I find myself laughing out loud. I have a new kitty. Oh my gosh. Talk about laughing out loud. Okay. And it naturally upgrades your ability for gratitude and appreciation. Gratitude and appreciation seem to be the byproduct of love. And they feed off of each other, like love and joy are like in a dance, and gratitude is the glue or the music that makes them dance together. You have much healthier, richer relationships because you're not looking for others to give you what you already are. I think I said this already, but I guess I'll say it again. You laugh a lot. You feel free to be yourself without worrying about what others are thinking of you. And on the spiritual level, you feel a oneness with spirit. Like there's no difference between spirit, like spirit's not out there. Spirit's right here in here. You're more attuned to your inner senses and guidance. Your wisdom flourishes. You are vibrating at the same frequency that is heaven. You don't have to die to go to heaven. Heaven is a state of consciousness that is right here, right now, available to each and every one of us. You cannot help but see the divine in each and every being that you meet. The veils are lifted. Like I say, game over, gigs up, no separation. You see through the illusion of life. You're more awake and more alive. And your life just feels graceful. It feels almost effortless. So those are the gifts of self-love on the spiritual level. And I'm sure that you can come up with many, many more. And the idea here is just start by saying, yes, as of this day, I choose to love myself unconditionally. That's pretty much the only technique involved. Deborah's like, well, teach them how to do it. And I'm like, it's really just a choice. It's really just a choice. And it's not because, you've been the success of the world, or you're on top of a mountain, or you have a straight halo. I certainly don't have one of those. I always try to straighten it out, but so Now I'd like to invite you, and we'll just take a moment to go get a piece of paper and a pen, okay? Because we're going to do a little exercise so that you can actually melt into this love that you are in a very fun, effortless way. So if you'll get a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, and a pen, that would be awesome. And we'll just give you like a minute or so. I'm sure that you might even have one right there next to you. And if you don't have one, and if it would take too much to get one, then no worries. You can do this with a mental piece of paper. But this little exercise is the one that Spirit gave for you to do. Okay, so everybody that has the piece of paper, I want you to draw, and see, you don't have to be perfect, but just draw a circle on the inside and then a circle on the outside. All right. Now, I'm just wondering do you think it's okay to start, Deborah?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because we
Okay.
told everybody to have paper and pen with them.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yes.
you're so awesome. See, that's why I love me, so I can love you. You are one of the most togetherest people I've ever met. I mean, it really is, it's like, you are a very beautiful example of what a self-loving woman looks like in action. Okay, all right, so here's the exercise. So I talked about those twerps, that are always going off with those voices in our head. And those voices are usually not that loving. Oftentimes, the criticism is what comes through those voices, judgments other people have put on us, fear-based voices. So I'd like you to just write down what those voices tell you in your head in the inner circle. Okay? I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. Or I'm stupid. Or, I don't even like to say those kinds of words. And by the way, while you're writing those words down, I just want you to know every time we think a negative thought about ourselves, we literally blow out our energy. Like I muscle test people all the time on the negative thoughts that they say about themselves. And I do the muscle testing. And oh my God, it's amazing how your energy just blows out every time you say, some kind of critical thought about yourself. But I will tell you this, when you say, I love me, that never, ever blows out your energy. It always puts you at your absolute pure power. Yeah, and I've muscle tested like lots and lots of people on that. Okay, so on the inside, you've got your critical voices, okay? Okay, now we're gonna do a little meditation. So I'd like to invite you to close your eyes. And just take some nice deep breaths. By the way, your breath is the perfect tool to always keep you in the present moment of here and now. And just take a moment to really acknowledge and thank yourself for giving yourself the gift of spending this time together, journeying into self-love. And then I would like to invite you to engage your imagination. And bring your imagination up into your brain area. And imagine that somewhere in your brain, I like to put mine like right above my brain stem, but imagine a valve. And we're going to call that valve your brain drain valve. This invaluable imaginary little anatomy part. They forgot to put it in the books, but it's there when you imagine it. So you'll imagine that you could open up your drain valve And imagine that you could just draw all the energy and awareness out of your linear mind, like you're just letting the energy flow like a river down through your open throat center. And now when you get to your heart chakra, your sacred heart, just relocating your attention that 10 or 12 inches is a completely different energy. Your heart is always peaceful. Your heart has its own intelligence. Your heart knows who you truly are. Your heart is like the portal to your soul, to your essence, to your true self. Your heart knows the way home to that heaven on Mother Earth. And your heart's desires are always important to pay attention to because they guide your way home. They're the guideposts, your heart's desires. So now I'd like you to ask your heart to share with you, to give your heart your voice, to give your heart let your mind like rest in your heart right now. And let your heart share with you all the wonderful things that are love about you, all the wonderful things about your essence, about your truth, about who you are, about what is particularly unique about yourself, what you value and respect and adore about your own self. And let your heart write on the outer circle about your essence, the essence of yourself. And those words most likely will just be very affirming, very kind, very confirming. And so now, once you've got the inner circle with the twerps and their self-judgments and criticisms and bull, and now we've got the outer circle, which is your heart speaking. Now we're going to do a little truth process. And the truth is that those judgments, those things that keep us separate from ourselves or afraid of ourselves or life, or those wounds, that we carried, or those core wounds that are our core lies, those are the parts of ourself that need to be loved the most. They need to be loved, not separated out and not, continuing to be beat up. So we're going to just we're going to close your eyes now. Have you closed your eyes? We're going to close your eyes now. You're going to close your eyes. And you're going to let the essence of yourself, the outer circle, embrace and love and melt into love that inner circle. So there is no separate self. There is no judge. There is only the love that you are. And that love only wants to love. And that love only wants to love you as you are. So see if you can't let that love embrace the unlovable parts of yourself and heal those unlovable parts of yourself. Include those unlovable parts of yourself. Embrace them so that they can heal, that they can become part of the wholeness, part of the truth of who you truly are. It's like a merger. We're going to merge with our own self. Our own divinity embraces our humanity. None of us have the perfect chip. Spirit used to tell me this. You're all perfect human beings. I mean, you're all perfect divine beings. But none of you humans have the perfect chip. We weren't born with that one. So it's not a perfection that we're looking for. It's a love that is always here. So now I'd like to ask if any brave soul, maybe Judith, would you share, or anybody that wants to share about what their experience was when they were just bringing themselves and letting the unlovable parts of themselves be embraced and loved and healed by their love.
So go ahead and raise your hand if you would like to share. So yes, Stefania has. So let's go ahead, Stefania,
Okay.
go ahead and turn on your video and unmute yourself so that we can see you. There you are. Hi.
Ah,
Good
hi.
morning.
Wow. Hi, gorgeous.
Oh, felt like my soul was out of my body and I'm right back in.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been crying this whole time. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Tears of joy, I assume.
Tears of joy. I just so
Yeah.
resonate with your journey. And
Oh.
it's been a few years since I've been to Sedona and my heart just keeps wanting to go back. So when this border opens up, I think I'll be back.
Yay. We welcome you with our open arms.
Oh, you'll get the hug of the century, believe
All
me.
right. None of this physical distancing kind of hug. I know.
No.
Yeah. I'm sending you a cyber hug right now.
Oh my goodness.
Can you share what your experience was?
Yeah. So I did draw the circle and I didn't realize really all this stuff that I was going to put in there. And it was just boom, boom, boom. And,
No.
one of the things, because I'm a first generation immigrant and my parents are European, right?
Yeah.
So when I grew up in Canada, we had a lot of, like people that were blonde hair, blue eyed. And I always felt like I was not the Barbie or I didn't get the education. I'm not successful. There's all this stuff. Like what? And so I thought, okay, we'll just go with this. And those were my judgment wounds. They were, and I was too much like a mother, So, okay, that's fine. I'm fat. Oh, Yeah, I know.
Geez. We're so
Like,
mean to
really? It's still
ourselves.
in there?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, so the circle's around. And then we I started, like you said, you write down all this other stuff around there. And I could start feeling there was the voice was small and then
The
it got
still small
louder.
voice. Yes.
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 And then the more I wrote, the louder it got. And the only thing I can tell you is I felt calm, just still. I don't know what else to say. And I'm almost vibrating right now. It's just my whole body's vibrating. Yeah.
So can I just, I was going to wrap around and share with you from the first story. Remember the quaking and the vibrating that I had in my body, which I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
I thought I was being like touched by the Holy Spirit. I was trying to like, put it into some, traditional form. But I found out that what really happened is I was vibrating at the frequency of love. And that frequency then, came full around. And after the I love me and realizing, oh my God, the I love me puts me right into that, vibrational frequency that, that started the ball rolling. So that's how I realized, oh my God, it's a frequency. It's a
It's a
vibration.
frequency.
Yes.
Yeah. And something came to mind, and I'm not sure if it relates, but I'm pretty sure it does. Is I find that because I've gone in, you go in and out of this. Do you know what I'm saying in your life? And I'm finding now that I'm sort of in it. I'm 55. I'm kind of a crone. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's the wise woman. The wise woman. Yes.
I've been accepting that part of me. And what I saw is that, the compassion, the kindness, the strength, all these things I put outside this circle. And when I'm kind of like, at sort of what I would say at my higher frequency, people can't take you. They think you're crazy. They're like, you're too much. You know what I mean?
Well, I know, but then you know what it is? Then you start like loving yourself so much that you start attracting that same frequency to you. And it's like, whoa, everybody's vibrating at this frequency.
Everybody's vibrating at the same exact. Yeah. And that's where I'm sort of going, like, do I need to like push these people away? I think they just go away by themselves, you know?
It kind of filters out, as a natural, those that want to vibrate in fear, that there's no judgment about it, but they won't feel comfortable in that frequency of love.
And it doesn't matter what the relationship is. It could be a stranger on the street, or it could be your own father or your own children, like it's just sort of, it's all the same, really,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
so I like the idea of the veil coming off. I love that, the idea of that veil coming off and being more clear,
And even if people don't know that they are love itself, they're love, they're God, they're a perfect divine being. So you can't help but see them in that way and also honor them in that way. And it just does make for a much healthier connection, believe me, because they're like, well, why do you love me so much? It's just like, because it's so easy. It's the most easy, natural thing to do, because I'm loving the divine in you.
I love me.
I love me. Okay. Thank you so much for being so courageous and sharing your experience. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Stefania, I want to thank you too. And just also say, because other people were asking questions along that same line in the chat.
Okay.
And one of the other things that happens is when you're coming from love, the people that you're going to vibrate toward you, the people who are going to want to be in your vibration are other people who are in that same vibration.
Yes.
So it's like you said just a moment ago, other people who aren't in that vibration, they just kind of fall away naturally. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to cut them out of your life or anything like that.
No.
When your vibration is so high and so coming from love, you're only going to have people around you who are in that same vibration, because other people can't even stand that high vibration. It's too much for them.
And it sounds to me that, like you said, that it's effortless. And so, so when you're vibrating at that level, it doesn't even bother you. It's like, oh, it's almost your
Well, if people reject you, you don't really take it personally.
No.
Like, it's just like, oh, okay, maybe they're not loving themselves.
Yeah.
And so they don't, they don't want me to love them like that.
Yeah. And so just a bit of compassion goes that way.
Totally.
Exactly.
And and empathy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, sweetie. Thank you so much.
I can say right now, I do love you both.
Because you love you. Because I love
Okay.
And we
me.
love you. See how great
Yeah.
it works?
It does.
Deborah,
All
I'm
right.
just Deborah, I'm just noticing that we're coming right up on 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So
Okay.
should we?
Thank you,
From Canada.
Stefania.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank
I
you.
know.
Oh, is it okay? So I just don't want to, I don't want to go over.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Do you want to do the prayer now?
Okay.
What do you want to do?
I'd love to do the prayer just as a way to kind of seal and it's like I said, it's written by Don Miguel Ruiz originally, and I just took the liberty to beef it up a little bit. Okay. And so I'm going to invite you to just close your eyes. And I was also going to say, Deborah, if anybody would like a copy of this prayer, would it be okay if they could just?
We'll include it in the recording. You send it to me and we'll include it in the recording.
Okay, perfect. This is a prayer for self-love. Today, Creator of the universe, I ask that you help me to accept myself just the way I am without judgment. Help me to accept my mind the way it is. Help me to accept my emotions, my hopes and my dreams, my personality, my unique way of being. Help me to accept my body just the way it is, with all of its beauty and perfections. Let the love that I have for myself be so strong that I never again reject myself or sabotage my happiness or freedom and love. From now on, let every action, every reaction, every thought, and every emotion be based on love. Help me, Creator, to increase my self-love until the entire dream of my life is transformed from fear and drama to love and joy. Let the power of my self-love be so strong that I no longer need to live my life according to other people's opinions. Let me trust myself completely to make the choices I must make. With my self-love, I am no longer afraid to face any responsibility in my life or to face any problems or in my life or face any problems and resolve them as they arise. Whatever I want to accomplish, let it be done with the power of my self-love. Starting today, help me love myself so much that I never set up any circumstances that go against me. I can live my life being myself and not pretending to be someone else just to be accepted by other people. I no longer need other people to accept me or tell me how good I am because I know what I am. With the power of my self-love, let me enjoy what I see every time I look in the mirror. Let there be a big smile on my face that enhances my inner and my outer beauty. Help me to feel such intense self-love that I always enjoy my own presence. Let me love myself without judgment, because when I judge, I carry blame and guilt. I have the need for punishment, and I lose the perspective of your love, of my love. Strengthen my will to forgive myself in these moments. Cleanse my mind of emotional poison and self-judgments so I can live in complete peace. Let my self-love be the power that changes the dream of my life. With this new power in my heart, the power of self-love, let me transform every relationship I have, beginning with the relationship I have with myself. Let me be free of any conflict with others. Let me be happy to share my time with my loved ones and to forgive them for any injustice I feel in my mind. Help me to love myself so much that I forgive everyone who has ever hurt me in my life. Give me the courage to love my family and friends unconditionally and to change my relationships in the most positive and loving way. Help me to create new channels of communication in my relationships so there is no war of control. There is no winner and there is no loser. Together, let us work as a team for love, for joy, and for harmony. Let my relationships with my family and friends be based on respect and joy, so I no longer have the romantic relationship be the most wonderful relationship. Let me feel joy every time I share myself with my partner. Help me to accept others just the way they are, without judgment, because when I reject them, I reject myself. When I reject myself, I reject you. Today is a new beginning. Help me to start my life over, beginning today with the power of self-love. Help me to enjoy my life, to enjoy my relationships, to explore life, to take risks, to be alive, and to no longer live in fear of love. Let me open my heart to the love that is my birthright. Help me to become a master of gratitude, generosity, and love, so that I can enjoy all of your creation forever and ever. So be it. Prayer for self-love. Well, I want to tell you, thank you so much for this time together today. It's really been a pure joy. And I hope that you'll take the I love me frequency to the highest limit of the law. You go for it. I love me, and therefore I love each and every one of you. Thanks for being here with us today. Back to Deborah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ranjita. And I just want to say again to everybody to use the mantra that Ranjita talked to you about, saying to yourself, I love me. Because, you know, we have these negative thoughts that come in. We can't stop those. They're just coming in naturally. But when you replace them with just saying over and over to yourself, I love me, I love me, I love me, it's unbelievable how that changes things around. So I really, really, really want to make sure that you are using that mantra. Ranjita gave that mantra to me 21 years ago, and it has made such a difference in my life. So thank you, Ranjita. Thank you. I know I promised that I wouldn't say that you're amazing, but I'm sorry, I just have to. You are amazing. And so I love you so much. You've been such a blessing in my life and the lives of so many people. And we love you. We love so many people love themselves more because of you. And we all love you. So thank you, sweetie. Love you so much.
Bye, loves.
Okay, everybody. So come next week because we will be having another of our amazing master classes with another one of our amazing practitioners. Here I am saying that word again, Meredith Davis, who's a fantastic breathwork practitioner. She is going to be talking to you about simple, quick techniques that you can use when you're feeling badgered or when you're feeling stuck or when you're feeling triggered, and especially using the breath. Ranjita talked about that a little while ago. So I want to thank you so much for being with us. I want to remind you that if you want to speak to an angel guide about coming and doing a retreat, we are here available to talk to you 7 days a week. So I'll have the slide up where you can actually click and to set up a time to talk with an angel guide. We'd love to have you here, taking you from where you are to where you want to be. I am sending you so much love from Sedona, and we will see you next week.